look too bad, so let's try to
will now be recorded.
Get it through and get on with other pressing matters this evening. So, called meeting to order. We'll observe our traditional moment of silent reflection followed by the pledge. Thank you very much. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. As noted, we do not have number 4 this evening, so we'll go right to recognition of guests. We have Mr. Wyatt Burns here with us this evening, and there's also a request underneath his presentation to consider authorizing our assistance from Street Department, Police Department, and possibly VIPs with street closures for graduation ceremony day. So, good evening, Wyatt.
Good evening. Spring has indeed sprung on campus, and the students are extremely busy. We invite you to check out our website for home tennis, softball, baseball, lacrosse, and track and field contests. Our annual spring football game will be held on April the 23rd. Outdoor recreation program will end the year with a trip locally to the Wildlife Center and then a horseback riding trip to Canaan. We've kept students busy skiing, tubing, snowboarding, and zip lining this semester. We love showcasing West Virginia to our students. Our Student Senate has voted to make a $1,000 donation to the Mountain Heart in Oceania, West Virginia to assist with the recent flooding in the southern part of the state. Our representative will present the check to them tomorrow. Exploring West Virginia, sketches, studies, and finished works by Carl Garther is on display in the Sleeth Art Gallery this month. Tonight at 8 p.m. in honor of Sexual Assault Awareness Month, the We Lead Invisible Illness team will host a Take Back the Night candlelight walk around campus. This program is in conjunction with the End the Cycle and the Center Against Violence. The Importance of Being Earnest will be performed by our students in the Performing Arts Center on April 10th through the 12th. Jazz Fest will take part at the Colonial Arts Center and the Performing Arts Center April 11th. Wesleyan's Jazz Ensemble will perform at the CAC April 12th. Wesleyan's Alumni Jazz Ensemble will perform at the CAC with the High School Honors Jazz Ensemble on April the 13th at the PAC. Students will be volunteering at the Head Start Spring Fling on April the 11th. The Animal Welfare We Lead team has a pet supply drive going on through April the 25th for supplies for the local shelters. We Lead High Tunnel is working with the county library to collect seeds for the seed library. The We Lead Poverty team is preparing and serving a community dinner at the parish house once a month, which they did this evening. Students will get a small break with no classes on April 17th through the 18th, observing Easter. Residence halls will remain open. On Easter, Aladdin Food Management will hold an Easter brunch open to the public from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. The fee will be $11.50 per person for the meal. April 23rd, the West Virginia Wesleyan College Concert Band will perform in the PAC. Spring weekend will be April 26th through April 27th. Wesleyan will host the Athletic Hall of Fame banquet, Spring Sing, and the annual Awards and Leadership Convocation. Last day of classes is April the 30th. Commencement will be on May the 10th. And this is my last meeting until I'll see you guys after, my last meeting will be in May, and then I will see you guys in September once we make it back from summer break.
All right. Well,
take care and be safe.
I will.
Do you have a job for the summer?
I do. I don't live in Weston. I work at the Sporting Clays range in Roanoke.
Okay. Great. Well, have a good summer.
thanks,
You guys have any
sir.
questions?
We'll see you in May, though, right?
Yes.
Yep. Take care.
Thanks, sir. We'll go ahead and take up that line item so that Wyatt can take the news back to campus with him. Is there a motion to approve? We have done this in the past. Traffic assistance from our police, VIPs, and possible street department for street closures around campus for graduation ceremony on the 10th of May.
So moved.
A motion by Pam, a second by Thomas. He was jumping out there. So All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed? That motion carries. You can take that news back with you. Yep.
Have a good one.
Same to you.
All right, I don't believe we have anybody here that wishes to address the council. So we are going to move to the financial report with Amby.
Okay, I'm going to give you your balances for general fund and a few of those accounts for the month of March. General fund money market and checking, $1,218,000. The CD remains at $86,000. Historic landmarks, $3,037. Coal tax, $67,000. Municipal stabilization fund, $966,000. Flood control account, $78,000. Consolidated Public Works Board, $190,000 with their CD at $235,000. Sales taxes at $1,923,000. American Rescue account is $139,000. The opioid account's $151,000. And then in your general fund revenues and expenditures, revenues were $412,000. Expenditures were $429,000. In those bills that's to be approved, we have ones I want to point out to you. We have the expense to EMC repair services, $7,280 for various fire truck repairs. $1,675 to Rapid Rescue LLC for a level 4 safety and rescue class. $1,970 to Ace Materials for 10 yards of concrete on the Island Avenue project, and $5,609 to Valley Steel Services for materials for the public safety training facility. And then the only other thing I really have to report really isn't financial, but we are working on getting ready to send out the annual flood outreach letter that we do every year for our CRS community rating system requirement.
Okay.
To notify customers or residents of the flood issues. That's all on the financial report and the bills.
Is there a motion to approve the bills presented by Amby this evening?
So moved.
Motion by Scott, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rob. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign opposed, that motion carries. We need to appoint and approve a registered agent and authorized signatory for the delinquent property tax sale. That is usually always Amby Jenkins. I would ask that you approve her for this again this year.
So moved.
Motion by Thomas, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rob. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
What date's that going to be, Rob?
June the 5th.
And down at City Hall, or?
No, they're online now.
Okay,
They have to do it through the state tax department.
okay.
And as Amby reported earlier, we are not ready yet for to take action on the audit report for the fiscal year ending 6/30.
Yeah, I'm asking the auditors to be available the 17th so you can hear from them yourself.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions for Amby? Hearing none. All right. Thank you. We do not have our Public Works Director. He is on vacation this week. It is Upshur County School spring break, so we have several people out. I will touch on just a couple things. The work at the city park continues. We are earnestly trying to get that ready for the May 1st deadline to open that up officially and welcome people to our new park before we start working then on our North Buckhannon park this summer. Street maintenance is taking place. Potholes are being filled around town, and then here this spring, probably right after Strawberry Festival, we'll begin our earnest street paving efforts. There are several streets, as council has looked at the list during the budget session, that we have to work on. So there's lots of maintenance to be had. There is an issue ongoing right now. The city was made aware of it yesterday afternoon. Myself and Jay Holland, JB Kimball, Ethan, even though he's on vacation, Cody Tenney from the sewer sanitation department, street department. We've all been putting our heads together on what to do about it, but we've got significant backwater issue on Camden Avenue around between 180 and 184 in the backyards. It's come up through a storm drain that's in the backyard of one of those residents. We currently, as we speak right now, have a crew from the sanitation department. Jay's over there, JB's been over there this evening, over there working to pump the water out. There's about 4 or 5 feet of water back there, so it is a problem. We're working on it. Like I said, this came in yesterday, and we've been trying to figure out the best course of action, because the lay of the land, you can't flood everybody else out just to try to get water out from where it is. So we've got a plan of action. We've got the apparatuses over there, and it's being taken care of. But we've got more rain forecasted this weekend, so it's a problem that's going to require a long-term solution. But right now, we've got to get the water out of there so we can see what we're dealing with the drain. So
Didn't we have a problem there one other time around?
we have, yes. So, but that's ongoing right at this moment. We had a waste department meeting this morning. Couple, not anything really monumental to bring to in the Public Works Director report this evening, but and then code enforcement, I went ahead and put that. I'm going to start putting that underneath of our Public Works report, just to give the council an update as what's going on with zoning and code enforcement. So we'll have a report at our next council meeting underneath Ethan's report from Vincent. I would also ask that at this time we approve the building and wiring permits as were presented to you via this packet.
So
Motion by Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rob. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like I said, opposed, that motion carries. Fire department report. Good evening, sir.
Hi, JB.
How is everybody?
Great.
Good. How are you?
First off, I want to thank the mayor and council for the employee luncheon the other day. It was enjoyable to sit around and talk with employees you don't get to see all the time. And with the fire department, we sit around and talk to each other all the time, get bored with each other. So it's nice to pick on the police and the street department.
That's very understandable.
So kudos to you all. I've taken a lot of leadership classes in the last couple of years, and I always remember happy employees or productive employees. And when they see the council and the mayor really appreciate them, they're more willing to go that extra mile when they need to. So thank you all very much. Still having a little snafu with our new software. So ESO bought out our emergency reporting, and basically they're buying out about all the emergency reporting software programs that are out there. And ESO was a EMS software program trying to dibble into the fire service, and it's really confusing and problematic for us because we had a fire service software that dibbled in EMS service. So that being said, I still we got to have another little Zoom meeting to figure out how to print monthly reports, activity reports that specifically say how many fires we had and stuff like that. So basically what I can tell you, the year-to-date, March 31st, we responded to 299 incidents. I can't break that down for you right at this time. But compared to the same time period last year, that's 55 additional incidents this year. So call volume is up. And it just seems like every day it gets worse and worse. Speaking of incidents, I really want to reach out to the public. We've been, this morning we were out on several trees down and lines down, had to close roads down. Please be patient with our first responders, whether it's Buckhannon, I don't care where it is. We had several people that get very agitated and end up saying some words they probably regret later on to firemen for stopping them and making them go some other direction. We're just out there in the middle of the rain trying to help. And the road's blocked, you can't get through, it's not our fault. And I'm sorry. So please be generous to the first responders out there, police officers, DOH, whoever it may be. So good news, over the last couple months, we have accepted 2 new untrained volunteer members into our organization and 1 trained volunteer member into our organization. 2 of those members are actually, one of the untrained is a service scholar at Wesleyan. Her name's Macy, and she took it upon herself. She came to the firehouse and worked about 6 hours a week as a college service scholar from Wesleyan and enjoyed the time, and they allowed them to go on calls. So she wanted to further her education on the fire and emergency services. Blake is a return. He was a service scholar that had left and has came back and is getting local employment and has joined the fire department. He had actually, as a service scholar, had got firefighter 1 in the basic classes when he was here originally. And then Chris Smith is an additional member who's untrained, and Macy and him are both in firefighter 1 classes at this time, so hopefully in the next 4 or 5 weeks they'll be completed and be able to be full into fire gear and going to fires. So that's good news. 5, including myself, instructors went out and learned how to load and burn inside the new can prop that we got from Loudoun County, Virginia. It's very good just to sit with guys that we're going to be the ones training the others, just to see how much of a load we put in, how much we can take, because if we can't take it, we definitely don't want to put new firemen in it. We're not there to scare them or hurt them. We're there to make them learn how fire progresses and stuff. So, you know, it'd be nice if a couple of city councilmen want to come out and learn to burn a little bit. So
This is next to the transfer station?
yes.
Right.
So next time we're doing it, I may send out a message to y'all, if anybody's interested, just to come and see it if you don't feel comfortable going in it. I mean, you're talking, you definitely don't want to stand up. You want to get as close to the floor as possible, because if you have anything exposed, you will lose it. So that's how hot it is. So we had a good time.
How hot is it, you think?
In the ceiling, over 1,000 degrees.
Oh, good
Yeah.
Lord.
So, but it's, so our process is going to be, next week, we have a paid staff meeting every 2 months. So all the paid staff, we're going to go out and put them through it. And then we're going to reach out to all our volunteers. And beyond that, we're going to start going department to department and try to grab 8 members from each volunteer department to bring them in, give them just the basic course, and then lead them into some thermal imaging classes and stuff like that. So
You have to wear certain.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the gear we wear. So if you don't have it on, you wouldn't make it out, maybe.
Well, at least I don't have to worry about burning my hair, right?
No, you don't. So, but it's good stuff, good training. So, still working on. Oh, I'm sorry. Welders will begin on the big 3-story building. We got the doors cut out, some windows cut out, but we got to have fabricators to come in because we don't have enough muscle to put the rest of it up. Because a shift only has 2 or 3 people on it. If we get a call and they're all out there welding and cutting, it delays our response. We definitely don't want that. So Corey, who does Rosello, who does work with Roselle, he's got a contract welder who's going to do a lot of the work. Now we're going to help to try to keep some of the costs down, but we've already got the material out there, and hopefully we'll get the first floor and possibly the second floor done by the end of this budget session, and be able to finish the 3rd floor next year. So,
That's the Valley Steel bill.
yes, yeah, yeah. So, Strawberry Festival planning continues. We've met, the medical side has met to make sure we have enough people, first aid stations. Actually, Dr. Shukas, who's our medical director, will be here again this year to direct and be part of the command staff of that. It's always a good time to have your medical director here so he sees how you operate, and we get to talk to him. So a couple concerns throughout these festivals and with the Consolidated Public Works. I really want to throw out the concern of closing Florida Street down for some of the events. I see that occasionally. That's our main thoroughfare to go to the southern part of the city and to the southern part of our fire district. I definitely would like to have options there where, you know, if they want to have like something like food events or something in that South Florida below the firehouse going towards Madison Street, that we figure out a way to put it in the parking lot or something else. Because last thing we want to do is detour somewhere else where the guys are not familiar going. They're familiar going down South Florida. If you end up going down Sedgwick Street or East Main to try to get up to Route 20, people are, I hate to say this, but that's not our normal traffic route. And you may have kids that hear a siren and come running out. You're not used to those kids. You're used to driving up Florida Street, and that's a different setup for us. Plus, it's going to delay response to specific areas of our town. I mean, if you have Florida Street closed there at the firehouse and something catches on fire on East Victoria Street, we got to go clear around and then come back. So.
Well, we're going to continue with keeping no parking on East Victoria.
Yes.
And I don't think that there's anything that would require Florida Street to be closed there. I mean,
I think when I got the paper or something, it may have been for the barbecue the other day, where they're wanting to have like,
They usually want to have it closed, but
and I'd rather have something specific in a safer location where we don't have to close traffic
What
down.
about fireworks? Don't they usually have activities and things set up in your parking lot?
Yeah,
Did
the
they cause the road to be
carnival
closed?
used to put stuff in our
Yeah.
parking lot, yeah. And I don't have a problem with shutting off part of the, to have a safer atmosphere, which wouldn't detour our responses. That's what I'm trying to keep going, because what happens is, you close that street off, and at the ladder truck, I wanna see you try to drive it down East Main, and make it right at the end of East Main. I mean, it's a different animal. You're not driving a cruiser, you're not driving a pickup, you're driving a, 57-foot long truck. So, it's a lot different, so.
I mean, I don't think it's, I just don't see that that Florida Street would need to be closed. I mean, everything stays west of Florida Street on Madison. Madison's closed.
Yep.
Spring's closed. The parking lot there in front of Pop's Furniture's closed, but I think Florida can
I know in
stay.
the past, we've always talked if Main Street or Madison's closed, we gotta keep that one way on East Victoria so we can go down that street and the plan for that, so. But I just wanna, as y'all go through some more events and stuff, let's make sure we keep South Florida Street open there in a friendly way, and so. That way we don't get delays and going around. So now we're gonna move into, I left you all, a couple copies on your books there. So, for the past 2-3 weeks, between myself, the mayor, Joey Baxa, Senator Robbie Morris, Delegate Adam Buckhannon, and several others from all over the state. I've been on the phone, email, text, messaging over House bills that are changing the first due fire fee. So here we are today, and the House Bill 2866, which was presented by Adam Buckhannon in the House, has moved from its third reading into the Senate at this point in time. And basically, what we're looking at, there was other bills. There was a similar bill in the Senate that didn't move, that never moved to the House. But the Senate also put out Senate Bill 601, which was completely different than House Bill 2866. So a little history on 2866. We'd had stakeholder meetings, the mayor and I, Joey Baxa, Captain Glenn Davis, Christy Tenney, Commissioner Tenney, the Fire Association from Upshur County, the City of Weston, the Lewis County Commission, the Fire Association of Lewis County, the Weston Fire Department, Adam Buckhannon, and a couple other delegates had met and had some stakeholder meetings. And we tried to determine a local solution to a local problem. That this all began, and and the chief of Weston and I spoke about this, when Weston tried to produce a first due fire fee, and the commercial rate was pretty expensive. And the personalities between the delegate and the city manager were not positive, and there was a lot of discussion out in the county of not wanting to pay that much. So Delegate Buckhannon took it upon himself to put the moratorium on the first due fire fee, and after that, Delegate Buckhannon, I'll give him kudos for this, he took time to meet, and we had stakeholder meetings, and we tried to come up with a local solution. And he has learned over the past years that there's many problems in the fire service in West Virginia. It's huge. There's a lot of fire departments have a lot of money that they don't spend a lot of it. A lot of fire departments are embezzling in them. There's not a lot of oversight. So truly a true volunteer fire department in West Virginia has no oversight over their finances other than an audit, but their fundraiser money is not truly audited by the state. Only tax-based money, tax or fee-based money. So there's a lot of issues in the state of West Virginia with fire service, not only with finances, but personnel, standards of personnel. We have fires. I heard the other day there was a fire in a local county where a junior firefighter showed up on a fire engine fully packed up and was fighting fire. 17-year-old kid. That, I can't even fathom that here and on one of my fires. If I knew that, the fire department would never come to another fire. I can guarantee you that. But anyhow, this bill, getting back into this bill basically will give us three options. or any city going down the road that provides fire service outside the municipality. And that's, right now you're looking at, I believe there's 9 cities that have first due fire fees already in place. This does not affect them, which was my biggest hiccup with it. This does not affect the Bridgeports, the Philippines, the Elkins, and I don't want those people harmed, but we're going to be held to a different standard. So if this House Bill 2866 passes as it stands right now through the Senate, it'll come to us that we can present a first due fire fee to our county commissioners. And they will deem whether we're capable of doing that or not. They have to approve that, okay? So, that being said, in this bill also, there's no difference in, if they allow that to happen, there's no difference in what you charge in the city than what you can charge in the first due. Currently, Bridgeport, the old school system, they can charge 1.5 times outside the city limits what they charge inside the city, which the mayor and I discussed throughout this whole process. I was never for that, because it doesn't matter if you live, out in Liggett Edition, outside the city, you're getting the same fire truck and the same firemen as you are in the city limits, so why should you pay 1.5 times? Never did agree with that. There's never been a definition of a reasonable rate. So when you look throughout the state, Bridgeport's is like 6.8 cents a square foot, Elkins is 5, Lewisburg's 11. Weston was going to do 15 cents a square foot for commercial rate, which, I don't know if that's a feasible rate or not. Nobody can determine that. Usually the PSC determines your rates for water, sewer, and garbage, which was my thing with the legislature. Why don't you put this before either the fire commission or put it before the PSC for rates? What's reasonable? So anyhow, but when you read through this, the first option is to present it to the county commission. But I believe, as we stand right now, we're still charging gross receipts, correct? So if we're planning on presenting this, if this passes and goes into effect July 1st, we need to clean up our fire fee. Okay, we need to get it to where what we're charging in the city is what the expectation is out in the county. That way, if the county commissioners see fit to pass that, then we're charging the same inside the city as we are out in the first due. Second option is, if you look on down, I handed you all another form, West Virginia Code, Chapter 717-3, which is the county commission, where it states, let me read it here. This code, however, this provision shall not prohibit the county commission or fire board with the approval of the county commission from contracting with the fire department of any political subdivision for fire protection. So the state allows the county commission, if they see fit, if they have extra money in their budget, they can contract the city of Buckhannon for fire service in the first due district. That would be up to you all to determine what that cost would be. So that being said, that's option number 2. Option number 3, if none of that goes through and the city council sees fit, we can determine to become a municipal fire department. That meaning the fire department does not respond outside the city limits. And I want you all to realize, so here's some of the problem in the legislature. When you talk about fire service down at the Capitol, they think about the Charlestons, the fully paid departments, or they think about the Banks District Fire Department, who's a fully volunteer fire department. We have an identity crisis for our type of fire department. It's a combination department. They're not used to that, where you have paid people and volunteers in the same organization. We are one unit. The volunteers can't survive without us. We can't survive without them. We are one unit, and 2 months ago, the volunteers in their business meeting agreed that whatever trend or whatever we determine the best route for us to take, that's where they will follow. So I've had people say, well, just let the volunteers respond to tendering. There's 7 of them. They can't do it. Okay? They don't have enough trucks. They don't have enough people. It's just not conceivable. They don't have a building to put their trucks in. So
They don't have any trucks.
they don't have a truck. We are one unit, and I want council to realize that, and everybody out in the recording land. We are one unit. There is not 2 units at the Buckhannon Fire Department. There is 1. So that being said, the volunteers are held to the same standards of training and response as our career people are. Now, can they make as many calls? No, because they're not there for 24-hour shift. But the 7, well, now 10 with the untrained members that we have are great people, put their time forth, but they have jobs and family too. So there's the 3 options, and I sent that out in the email to council the other day. I hope everybody got it. I didn't have some of your, I don't have an email for you, Mr. Ziliani, but that being said, that's where we're at. And that's probably, if 2866 goes through without any amendments, that's where it'll be. Now, it's in the Senate, it's going to the government committee, and it could sit there and they could amend it to something else, but it has to go back to the House. They are running out of time, but we know funky things can happen in Charleston. I was down there Monday, I visited a lot of delegates, and I told Adam Buckhannon this. I said, Adam, no matter what happens with this bill, we have to go on an educational trip with people, because they're exactly where you were a year ago. You had no idea what the fire service was in West Virginia, or the EMS service. They have no idea. They just react to what people are telling them. They don't have facts, they don't collect data, they don't collect finances. And actually, we're still sitting, as of the other day, the county commission had requested financials from every fire department in Upshur County for months. And we still have 2 that refuse to give it to them.
Why do they refuse?
I can't answer that, Dave. I'm not in charge of them. So, to me, you know, the lack of oversight in the fire service and EMS services in general was horrible in the state of West Virginia. You know, last year, each pure volunteer fire department in West Virginia received over $100,000 in funding from the state of West Virginia, and they don't know what they spend it on. The state has no idea. They cut a check for over $100,000 to every volunteer fire department. Now, the Buckhannon Volunteer Fire Department, because we have career staff, only received $42,000. And I can tell you where every dime of them went. I'll go up the books, and here it is. So, that being said, I'm here for any questions. I don't want to prolong this any longer, but I think we're going to have some discussions here shortly. Clarify our fire fee, and then I look for us to sit down at the table with the county commission and see what they're thinking. So,
Do you think our county commission would be agreeable to that? We're going to have a first due?
I don't want to speak for them, David. I have no idea. I know Commissioner Tenney has been well involved with all this, and I think she has concerns also with some stuff that's going on. And kudos to her for taking time to go to the stakeholder meetings and sit down and talk about it. And I think she realizes there's a lot of issues. And I'll tell you what, Mr. Buckhannon realized real quick that, I mean, he had a meeting with the state fire marshal's office, and you know, Ken Tyree, he put it to him blunt that there's a lot of problems in the fire service in West Virginia. And you know, we're working with a lot of fire departments right now that have, I mean, over 70% of the call volume outside of our fire district was handled with 2 or less people last year. That's scary. Went to brush fire the other day to help Rock Cave, you know, and you get very few people. It's very difficult.
Well, the thing I'm concerned about is that in that meeting I had at the conference center, at the very end of the meeting, Sam said we would use our sales tax monies to do the first due. And none of us ever said that.
Yeah. Well, we're to the point now where, you know, staffing concerns, you know, and it'll continue as the volunteerism decreases in our communities. And we've done everything, you know, Mr. Buckhannon and I've talked, we spent thousands of dollars over the last couple of years trying to recruit people. I've been to multiple schools, colleges, meetings to try to recruit people. And it's just, and I know if this wasn't my job with 2 kids playing ball, it would be very difficult for me to be able to provide a service.
Did you happen to know any of the main reasons why the PSCs, that route of, you know, doing a fixed rate wouldn't be feasible?
So,
or?
They didn't, there's nothing in the bill about the PSC. And that would take a lot of the personality out of it, because even with the State Fire Commission, you have people on there that may, you know, there's a few of them on there that hey, I don't like JB in the city of Buchanan, we don't want to do that. You don't know that. So if you went with the PSC to regulate the rates, then they do it already. They don't know who I am. They just want to look and say, okay, this is what it's going to cost to do business. You know, you're charging too much. You need to decrease that. Stuff like that. It just takes the personalities out of it, and hopefully, you know, it's like I told Adam, I can work with this bill if it's passed as it is. But we're going to have to go to the table with the county commissioners and figure out what route they're looking at. And then we will have to determine what path we're taking.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on if it had to become a municipal fire department?
My thoughts?
Yeah.
It's going to be horrible. So, my homeowner's insurance, I live 300 yards outside the city limits. My homeowner's insurance is currently almost $1,000 a year, and it will go up $1,085 a year more. Now, that's a residential rate, because right now there is not a fire department within 5 miles of anybody in our district. So everybody will automatically go to a class 10. So everybody in Tennerton, everybody in Brochure Fork, you know, all the areas outside the corporate limits will automatically go to a class 10. So then it'll be up to the county commission to determine whose fire districts those become, or if they're going to create a fire department to protect those areas. That's a worst case scenario to me. I think bigger heads should prevail here, and we're all adults, and it's cost of doing business. I think we can sit and talk and figure this out. So.
Could it maybe be said that option 3 then, of doing municipal is potentially the most expensive change? You know, the
Well, not for
worst
the
option
city, it's not.
for the community, or?
For the community, yes. Yes. Not only in cost of insurance, but cost of lives and property.
And insurance.
Yes.
It still is going to be expensive for us too, because here's the thing. If we become a municipal fire department, yes, we would drastically reduce our call volume, but it doesn't solve the problem, because we still need people. Because even if we have a fire anywhere in here, house fire, large building fire within corporate limits, we still do not have the number of people we need to fight that fire. I mean, over here on Cooper Street, back in January, it's just a residential structure fire in a basement, and we still had to have Weston and Elkins come over here to help us. So it's just a couple blocks from our department, but we still do not have the number of people we need. So whether we're in or out, we still, what the first due, which we've been very transparent about this. If the first due were to be enacted, our first order of business would be to try to attract additional firefighters paid for our city to provide the service both in and out of city limits. That's going to be very difficult if we have to retract everything back to city limits, because we only have just what's inside here to be able to pay for the service. And yes, again, the call volume would go down, but so there would be more downtime, but when that bell rings, we're still relying on our neighbors to come in here and help.
Typically, a municipal fire department has mutual aid with other municipal fire departments. So like Clarksburg and Bridgeport, you know, that's how it typically is. South Charleston, those are municipal fire departments, okay? So here, that agreement would probably be between us and Weston, or us and Elkins, or all three. Because I know Weston is looking at the same options, because they're in the same place we are about having a different expectation in the first due fire fee than the ones that are in place. So, and that being said, you know, the mutual aid that we receive now, what we do receive from out in the county, would not be coming. So as far as call volume, you're looking at about 41% of our call volume is outside the city limits. So just
How much percent?
41%. Now, and I've always stated this, we do not do automatic medical calls outside the city limits. If the first due goes in place, you have to provide the same service outside the city as you do in, so the medical calls would be there. But as of now, the medical calls inside the city limits, we would still, I mean, you subtract basically 450 calls off of 1,200, so we'd still have 750 calls a year. So that being said, but you wouldn't be leaving the city limits.
JB, years ago, when I first ran for commission and was on, Mitch Tacey became our fire chief. And we only had like 4 or 5 firefighters at that time. But do we have a lot more volunteers then?
When I became a city council member, I had a conversation with Joey out on Friendly Way in 2016, and we had close to 25 volunteer firefighters at that time. We are now under 10.
Okay.
So in 8 years, we have reduced.
By 2/3.
So-
But you're right.
And not to take away from the 3 new that
Or
we
3/4.
received, but I want you all to realize too, as people go through this training, and I'll use Hunter and Maggie, for example, they were very active volunteers that we had. They were with us for 3 to 5 years, which is typical for this generation. And they got married, got a new life, and moved to Harrison County. There's nothing against the fire department, their life changed. The 3 that we just took in, you can only look at about getting 25% of what you receive. So when you take it, if you took in 10 people, 2.5 of them are gonna make it completely through firefighter 1, do a probationary period to become a full firefighter. So, because people get into it, and they may go to one incident and go, this isn't for me. So, it's a difficult sell, you know. I mean, we all know everybody's busy, you know, everybody is. And, but the service has to be given. I mean, it's just have to. So. I also, I finished my annual gap report today. I was going to present tonight, but I don't want to keep you any longer than I have to. I'll email it to everybody, and then I'll discuss it at the next.
Well, are you going to have several meetings with people to have a thought process and how we should proceed with this?
Well, that would be directly up to you all. I feel my recommendation would be to clean up the city fire fee into going from gross receipts to square footage or whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
Because you're great. Whatever you present to the county commission has to be the same as what you're charging in the city.
Yeah. We still have to, we still haven't, repaired that piece of the ordinance.
Yes.
Yeah, we still have to do that, so I agree, and I think we just have to wait and see what the legislature does and then move accordingly and explore all 3 of the options that the chief laid out for us tonight.
Yep.
Do you have a committee that you are working with, JP, on this?
I think in the past, Tom O'Neill and the mayor and I spoke about the square footage thing, and that's really all the change we're going to go from gross receipts on commercial to square footage, which is, to most people that's more fair. You got a bigger building, costs more to protect it.
Right.
So that's way most of them. And like I said, Elkins, when they presented theirs in 2012, they were at 5 cents a square foot. They're still at 5 cents a square foot. And Chief Himes, they've tapped out what they've received now. They're almost have to go back to the city for more money and more money because, I mean, it's 13 years later and look at inflation. That 5 cents a square foot is not making it anymore.
But
So,
you'd rather do it in a square foot versus the
yes, sir.
gross receipts,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I mean, that seems more fair to me.
It may,
We made a decision, yeah.
Council's has already agreed upon that. That it's just, we've just got to finish that
got to
process.
come up with what you want to charge, what's
Yeah,
feasible.
yeah.
So, but I would, I'd recommend that we get that ready because if this bill passes as is, it'll probably go into effect July 1st. And then July 1st, we meet with our constituents from the other end of the street and see what we can work out.
Well, if you want any more people on the committee, I'd be willing to help
So,
if I could.
yeah. I'll speak with the mayor about that. Thank you, Dave.
All right, any other questions or comments for Chief Kimball? Thanks, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
JB.
Thank you.
Under old business discussions, as you'll recall, we've been discussing third-party towing and vehicle storage services. AMBI has, we put that out for bid. We've got one company to respond to that.
That's right. We put out the RFP to accept proposals until April the 1st, postmarked by then, so we opened them up today. And we had one group that sent back Central Towing. It was pretty simple. They said they would be happy to help work with the city of Buckhannon, and they would remove vehicles and store them in their lot at a reasonable charge to the owner of the vehicle once it's towed. Matt called the company just to clarify that they would be able to stage for about an hour during those events, and they said yes, they wouldn't charge the city. They weren't asking the city for anything. They, of course, would charge the owner once the vehicle's towed, and they'd be available for that hour. So I think it's as simple, if the council selects them to be the tow company, there would have to be an agreement drafted by the city attorney for them to sign.
I would entertain a motion that we charge the city attorney with drafting a agreement between City of Buckhannon and Central Towing.
So moved.
Move.
Motion by Thomas, second by Sanders. Any further discussion? Hearing none, and then of course we will have that agreement to fully approve once it's completed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Amby. Down to new business. We need to approve the city's appointment to the Housing Authority for an unexpired term 2028. I would ask you to approve a Krista Lipscomb. Would you join me in approving that individual? Motion by Pam, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed, motion carries. Next, as the West Virginia Strawberry Festival is rapidly approaching, that Thursday, May 15th, is the night of the Junior Royalty Parade. We always have to change that meeting, so I went ahead and put it on here in case you have the appetite to do so, to reschedule or just cancel it for May 15th, and we would have our May 1st meeting at regular schedule on that Thursday. But do you want to reschedule, which would most likely be to the 13th, or do you want to just cancel it in honor of the Strawberry Festival week and have a good time?
I'm for the latter.
What's your preference, Rob?
Well, David, I am on the board, and it's a very busy week for me. I would love it if we just canceled it, and if we need to have another meeting in the month of May, we can do it the following week with enough time on the, to provide a public agenda.
I'll make that motion to cancel.
Yeah.
So moved.
So the motion is to cancel the May 15th meeting in honor of the West Virginia Strawberry Festival events. Who motioned to that? Pam and then David?
Yeah.
Okay, so Pam and David, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed, motion carries. Randy, just for the minutes, will you just make sure that it's put in there that if we, as always, if we need to schedule a meeting for the following, like anytime, the following week, if business comes up, we can do so.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, we are down to council member comments and announcements. We will begin over here with Scott Randall.
Not much, but some thanks. It's good to hear the Blake, Macy, and Chris Smith sticking around and continuing their training. That's wonderful to hear. And just would like to express, take your time with this weather for sure. I'd like to reiterate, it's my father actually said he saw someone coming into town from 20 and barreled through a tree that was down, and she was dragging about 100 feet of phone line behind her car. So slow down, please. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam?
I'm just glad that what JB reported on is hopefully going to be done and in the works in the next 2 or 3 months, because it's really needed to the city.
Thank you.
JB.
Dave Thomas?
I would just like to shout out to the Fredbrook Garden Club. They're going to build a very nice garden by the public service complex, and they're selling raffle tickets to raise money to do that. And I got some, Jeannie Ward's got some, a bunch of us. I also wanted to recognize the Zuliani family. I probably don't pronounce it right, Rob, sorry about that. But the Carter state football champion, state basketball champion, state swimming champion, and I've known the Zulianis for years. Jackie and Jenny Nicely were athletes at West Virginia Wesleyan. I used to run with them all the time. We'd go to Weston and do a half marathon here and there. And Carter's very blessed with a good family. So, congratulations.
Thanks, David. Rob?
Just wanted to make a comment. Sunday night, I believe it was, my wife made me go make a Dairy Queen run at 8:30 with 40 people in line. So I obliged and stood in the back of the line. And there were 2 uniformed Buckhannon police officers on Main Street. And at least 2 other people who had no clue who I was made the comment. It was nice to see, especially with people cruising and being as loud as they could in vehicles and making a spectacle. You know, it's funny how they kind of backed off the gas as soon as they saw the police officers at the end, towards the end of the line. And it was, we all kind of talked about that as making that a possible goal of the future. And it was just good to see. That's all I have.
Agreed. Thank you, sir. City Recorder's report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we do have a report of advanced correspondence and information. The always entertaining City Council levy is scheduled for April 15th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Planning Commission is going to be held April 21st, 2025 at 7 p.m. to discuss the proposal to rezone a section of South Canal Street from Putnam to Leonard. Charles W. Gibson Public Library Annual Open House is being held April the 9th, 2025 from 4 to 6 p.m. Coming up at the Colonial Arts Center, we have a live music night, April 5th, 2025, beginning at 7 p.m., and it's free to the public to attend. February, a report of cat and dog activity from the Upshur County Commission is part of the packet. We did receive a FOIA request from SBA Communications concerning a cell tower zoning application. Then out at the Event Center, upcoming events, April 12th, we have the SET Project Gala. April 19th, the Upshur County Shrine Club Elimination Dinner. And April 26th, we have the Buckhannon Upshur High School Prom, and we're working on some other events for May, June, July, and so forth. So, some busy times coming up there. I apologize I couldn't be there in person tonight, but I'm coming from an undisclosed location at 40 South Florida Street. Well, I guess it's just closed now. But anyway, just suffering from a cold, that's it. I just didn't want to sneeze throughout the entire meeting, so thank you for allowing me to attend through the GoToMeeting app. And that's it.
Absolutely. Thanks, sir. We hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Try to do a little better with your disclosed or undisclosed next time.
Yeah, got to practice that some more.
That's right. Thanks, everybody, for a good meeting this evening. And just want to remind everyone that if you do have a problem, the proper chain of command or proper communication way to do it is to report it is to call City Hall 304-472-1651, press 2, and report it to the person that you receive on the phone. They will place it in what's called iWorks. We have that software, and then that sends an alert to the appropriate department. So either sewer department, water department, waste department, street department, and they will be dispatched to the problem. It can be a street light out. It can be a street sign missing, which I'm working on them. I have them. They've made it from my office to my truck. It can be a pothole. It can be what we're dealing with tonight. But just remind everybody that that is the proper communication channel. Call City Hall. That is the fastest and best way to get a problem resolved. Putting it on social media is not, because we are not all perusing social media every 5 minutes trying to figure out what's going on. So yes, we get told about it because somebody will always screenshot it and say, have you seen this? But the best way is to get it in here to City Hall so that it can be dispatched to the appropriate person. And always, if it's an emergency, call 911. So, thank you, JB, for all the information tonight. Thanks, everybody, for a good meeting. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe. We've got weather coming to us. It's springtime. You never know what's on the horizon. This looks like a lot of rain. So, 7:54, I entertain a motion that we adjourn.